Part 1. Harvesting the wood. I found these pallets at my local grocery store on the side of the road, but any pallets made of wood will do. Once you've got your pallets, you want a circular saw. If you don't have one, prying them off works just fine too. Either way, watch closely for any nails or staples in the middle of your piece. Get as close as you can to the 2x4s as you cut to maximize the length of the pieces. Once you've cut a nice little pile of pallet wood, take it into the shop. Part 2. Cutting the wood. Start on the table saw. Cut all your boards required according to your cut list. I cut 8 pieces for the legs that were 2 different sizes, 4 pieces at 2 inches wide and 4 pieces at 1.5. Then I cut all 24 pieces for the sides of the planter, which are about 2 1/4. I proceeded by ripping boards so that the sum of them would be a total width of 15 inches. This would be the bottom, so use your most solid pieces. Finally, I cut 2 support pieces for the bottom at 1 1/8 inch. Now it's time to move over to the chop saw. Start by taking all of your pieces and squaring an edge. Only cut as many at a time as you are comfortable with. If you're going to be making more than one of these at once, I'd highly recommend using a bump stop for your measurements. I cut the leg pieces down to 15 1/4 inches long, the sides to 15 inches long, the bottom pieces to 14 3/8, and finally cut the bottom supports to 15 1/2. Now that all our pieces are cut to size, it's time for Part 3. Assembly. I just use 1 1/4 inch screws for the whole thing, which seems to work well. You could also use a nail gun, although it may split the wood or poke through, so I'd recommend screws. You will want to use a drill with a countersink bit. I set the bit to go about halfway down the length of the screw. Start with putting the legs together. Drill 3 holes into the side of the 2-inch leg pieces like so on all 4 pieces. Then attach them to the 1.5 inch leg pieces. Once you have all the legs built, take 2 of them and place the side boards horizontally in between them. Pre-drill each hole and then screw them into the legs, 1 screw each piece for now, alternating sides. Then pull them apart so you can put more side pieces into the gaps. Once you have pieces in, you can screw down the sides of the boards you haven't yet, securing the first side. Then turn it onto its side. Setting the 3 boards that are sticking out onto another leg piece, 3 more side pieces into the empty slots, slide 3 pieces into the gap standing up vertically, and screw them all down. Continue on the remaining sides by rotating the planter, attaching to the final leg, and then using up the rest of your side pieces. Once you've got all sides on there, you're almost done. Lay the bottom pieces across, pre-drill, screw them in. Then lay the 2 support pieces perpendicular to the bottom pieces along the ends. Attach them first through the sides of the legs, then put 3 screws into the pieces, making sure to avoid the screws you put into the bottom pieces already. Now that the box is assembled, it's time for Part 3 1/2, border. Start by ripping down 4 pieces to 3 inches and cut a 45 onto one end. Line up the inside edge of the 45 while the boards are still in a stack, and mark the opposite side where it needs to be cut. Flip your stack over, keeping the pieces flush with each other, and cut the other side. Then hold the pieces in place where they'll fit together nicely, and attach 1 piece with a screw in the middle. Then, going around 1 at a time, attach the other 3 pieces. Once you've adjusted them to line up how you like, put 2 more screws into each piece, sunk down into the tops of the legs to secure them.
Subscribe.